Welcome back to the channel, USA Coins 69, treasure hunters and coin lovers. Today we're diving headfirst into one of the most beloved classics in American numismatics, the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1956, a coin so iconic that even non-collectors instantly recognize its simple yet powerful design. But what makes this particular penny so thrilling for collectors isn't just its age or its place in history. It's the fact that hidden among ordinary examples are rare, extraordinary varieties with unique mint marks, stunning uncirculated condition, and shocking mint-made errors that have propelled this humble copper coin into the stratosphere of value. So before you dismiss the Lincoln Wheat Penny as pocket change from decades gone by, let me tell you how the 1956 version, particularly one with a small mint mark under the date, has become a sought-after masterpiece for collectors willing to pay jaw-dropping prices for the finest known examples. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, reigned for half a century as the workhorse cent of America. By the time 1956 arrived, these coins were widely used in everyday life, slipped into soda machines, candy counters, lunchroom tills and piggy banks across the nation. The obverse bears Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of a solemn Lincoln, lined with the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," while the reverse carries the classic twin wheat stalks framing 1 cent and United States of America. But if you look carefully at the obverse, just beneath the date, you'll spot a tiny mint mark, D for Denver or no mint mark for Philadelphia. Many were produced, but only a tiny number remained untouched by circulation. These are the coins collectors hunt with obsessive passion. What makes some 1956 wheat pennies valuable isn't just perfection of condition, though that's critical, it's also whether they carry specific rare mint errors or double die features. These happen when the design is accidentally struck twice at different angles, creating a stunning shadow-like doubling on lettering and numbers. On some of the most collectible varieties, the word Liberty appears thickened or ghosted, the inscription "In God We Trust" looks like it has been printed twice, and the date 1956 itself splits into two overlapping images under magnification. Combine a dramatic double-die obverse with a high-level mint state grade, bright original red luster, sharp strike, and no signs of human handling, and suddenly, this small copper coin becomes a dream trophy commanding staggering attention at major auctions. Seasoned collectors also obsess over full, bold mint luster, the fiery orange-red glow of copper fresh from the press, and extremely crisp strike detail, particularly in Lincoln's hairline curls, bowtie, and jaw. Many circulated coins darken to brown with an uneven tone, but the most valuable 1956 wheat pennies still blaze like freshly minted pieces. These are often pulled from old sealed rolls, hoards hidden away decades ago by relatives, or tucked in antique mason jars where they were unknowingly preserved. When a pristine wheat cent like this is discovered, it's not just a coin, it's a direct time capsule from Eisenhower-era America waiting to reward whoever recognizes its importance. Imagine stumbling across a dusty old coffee can in your grandparents' attic, dumping it out, and seeing dozens of aged Lincoln wheat pennies spill across the table. You start scanning for dates and suddenly spot the magic number 1956. You hold it up to a lamp, turn it ever so gently by the edges, and watch brilliant red luster catch the light. There's a tiny mint mark under the date, struck sharply, the lettering crisp and full. Under magnification you even notice slight doubling in the inscription. Your pulse races as you begin to realize this might be no ordinary cent. You send it to a professional grading service, and when it returns sealed in a slab with a blazing, mint state red designation and an official double die notation, you discover it has now entered the elite category of specimen that serious collectors chase with everything they've got. That is why collectors never stop looking, because even decades after these pennies were minted, the hidden gems are still out there waiting in jars, drawers, coin rolls, yard sale boxes, and inherited collections. Every wheat penny demands close inspection. Check the year, the mint mark, the luster, and lettering. Use magnification to spot doubling. Look for pristine red surfaces free from scratches. Because with the 1956 wheat cents, the right combination of condition and variety can unlock truly astonishing value. Today we are reaching deep into the past to explore one of the most exciting discoveries any collector could dream of, the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1917. This remarkable coin was struck over a century ago when America was entering World War I, silent films were playing in Nickelodeons, and horse-drawn wagons still shared the streets with the earliest automobiles. Imagine a simple copper cent passing from a soldier's pocket, to a farmer, to a schoolteacher, then lying forgotten in a drawer for decades, now holding the potential to deliver a staggering fortune if you possess the right version in the right condition. The 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny might look small and modest, but it stands at the crossroads of history and numismatic rarity, and those who know what to look for are finding out just how valuable this forgotten treasure can be. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was first introduced in 1909 as the first American coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1917 it had become the heartbeat of commerce from coast to coast. On the obverse is the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, proudly displaying the motto "In God We Trust," the word liberty, and the year 1917. Flip it over and you'll find the classic wheat stalks that frame 1 cent and United States of America, a design that screams vintage Americana. But value isn't just about the date, it's about detail. Look just beneath the date. If your coin carries a tiny D mint mark, it was produced in Denver, while an S means San Francisco, and a blank space means Philadelphia. Mint mark varieties from this year play a major role in rarity, especially when paired with high quality. Most 1917 pennies were circulated hard, worn down until Lincoln's features and wheat stalks became smooth. That's what makes surviving mint state examples such powerful treasures. They were never meant to survive this long untouched. Collectors seek out the 1917 wheat penny in bright lustrous copper-red condition, where Lincoln's hair, beard, and cheekbones remain razor-sharp, and each tiny grain of wheat on the reverse stands out with crisp detail. Even more thrilling are double-die varieties, coins featuring a distinct doubling effect on the lettering and numbers created by a die striking the design twice slightly off position. One of the most famous is the 1917 double die obverse where Liberty and In God We Trust almost look like they're casting a shadow. Under magnification, the doubled lettering jumps out, a rare mint error that dramatically boosts value. These coins were struck during a period of workforce shortages due to the war effort, and the mint was working quickly, often leading to a higher chance of striking mistakes. Few collectors in 1917 were saving pennies in pristine condition, which places enormous pressure on today's market for the tiny handful that emerged uncirculated with bold errors. Because copper reacts over time, most surviving 1917 pennies have darkened surfaces or blotchy brown toning. That's why coins with original fiery red or red-brown luster are like lightning in a bottle. Combine that condition with a mint mark and a strong double die feature, and you have something truly legendary. These coins often turn up unexpectedly, in dusty biscuit tins, in long-forgotten cigar boxes, in great-grandparents' belongings packed away in the attic. More than a few people have found historic wheat pennies while sorting rolls purchased from estate sales or bank surplus. Imagine the thrill of holding a coin that has survived wars, the Great Depression, and a century of change, then realizing it isn't just a historical piece but one of the most valuable small coins in American collecting. If you're searching your coin collection, here's what to look for: bold detail on Lincoln's face, clear lines in his coat, and sharp stalks and lettering on the reverse. Examine the date and mint mark carefully and use a magnifier to search for doubling on the lettering. If light reveals a fiery red glow across the surfaces, especially on the high points of Lincoln's portrait, you may be holding one of the most desired examples in the entire wheat penny series. These are the coins that get sent to grading companies where they earn impressive mint state ratings like MS 63, MS 64, MS 65 and higher. When that happens, and especially if it carries a mint error designation, collectors at auction jump into fierce bidding wars because they know how rarely these masterpieces appear on the market. That is why coin hunters never stop examining wheat pennies from 1917. Not just because they are old, but because the right combination of beauty, condition and minting error can transform them into breathtaking treasures. Each one is a relic of early 20th century America, a witness to history, and a doorway into incredible modern-day value. Today we are unlocking the secrets of a coin that most people would barely glance at before dropping it into a jar. yet under the right circumstances can become a true fortune. We're talking about the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny dated 1953, a small copper coin that carries so much more history and excitement than its face value could ever reveal. Minted during the post-war boom when America was racing into a new era of prosperity, the 1953 wheat penny found its way into diners, ballparks, candy stores, and pay phones, passed from hand to hand by millions of people who never imagined that someday a select few of these pennies would become mighty numismatic giants. If you've ever come across an old coin jar in the attic, inherited a dusty box of vintage change, or kept a stash of wheat pennies just because they looked old, now is the moment to pay attention, because hiding among those coins might be a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny worth far more than you ever dreamed. The story begins with the familiar design by Victor David Brenner. Abraham Lincoln confidently gazing across the obverse of every wheat penny, surrounded by liberty, Indiana, God we trust, and the year 1953. On the reverse, two graceful stalks of wheat cup the words 1 cent, a design that became an American icon from 1909 all the way until 1958. Flip any 1953 wheat penny over and glance just below the date to locate a tiny mint mark. A D means your coin was struck in Denver, an S means San Francisco, and if there's no mint mark at all, it comes from Philadelphia. While millions were produced at each mint, most were immediately put into daily circulation. They took on scratches, dark spotting, and worn-down features as they passed through pockets and purses for decades. What makes collectors ecstatic today are the few coins that were pulled from circulation early, or never circulated at all, and kept in pristine condition with full, blazing copper-red luster, but rarity alone is not what sends value into the record books. The real thunder comes when that perfect condition meets a spectacular minting error or double die variety. Some 1953 wheat pennies were struck using dies that slipped slightly during production, imprinting the design twice and leaving letters like Liberty or the phrase I and God we trust showing ghost-like overlapping outlines. Under magnification, the date 1953 itself can appear boldly doubled, and that instantly turns a collector's head. Other pennies suffered from off-center striking, leaving a crescent of blank metal on the rim, or filled die issues where a chunk of grease on the die smeared part of Lincoln's profile or the wheat ears into strange, misshapen forms. These are not signs of damage, these are factory-made curiosities that transform a simple cent into a one-of-a-kind rarity. Condition is everything when it comes to skyrocketing value. Professional grading services judge these coins carefully, searching for sharp details on Lincoln's coat, beard, and hair, crisp wheat kernels on the reverse, and gleaming original mint luster. Coins that remain bright red, meaning they've avoided the natural darkening copper usually undergoes over time, are exceptionally rare. Combine a top-tier mint state grade such as MS 65, MS 66, or higher with a dramatic double die or mint error, and you suddenly have a coin that sits at the top of want lists for elite collectors around the world. These are the beauties that show up in auction catalogs described as finest known or population 1, sparking intense bidding wars. Picture the moment you're sorting through a handful of old wheat pennies from a forgotten piggy bank, pouring them slowly across your table. You lift up a 1953 penny, it glows differently. Its surfaces shimmer with bright orange-red fire when tipped under a lamp. You start to realize that every little detail is clearer, sharper, stronger than you're used to seeing. For a heartbeat you feel electrified. Could this be one of the rare survivors? You examine it under a magnifying lens and notice subtle doubling on the letters of Liberty. That's when you know you've stepped out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. So you send it off for grading, and sure enough, it comes back encased in a slab with a spectacular mint state designation and that magical note, double die obverse. That's the moment your life might change, because without even knowing it, you just uncovered a penny worth many times its weight in gold. This is why collectors never grow tired of searching wheat pennies from the 1950s. They might be hiding in plain sight, in school desk drawers, coin envelopes saved by grandparents, or the spare change dish next to your door. Every single 1953 wheat penny deserves to be checked under good lighting, turning it gently by the rim to see the shine, using a loupe to inspect the letters, the date, and Lincoln's profile, hunting for that unmistakable glow of preserved copper and any sign of a minting anomaly. Because as history has proven time and time again, tiny cent coins can carry massive surprises. Today we are stepping into the fascinating world of classic American cents to uncover the secrets of a coin that continues to shock collectors with its huge value and powerful backstory, the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny dated 1957. At first glance this little copper coin might seem ordinary, almost too common to be worth much, but once you understand the magic combination of mint mark, flawless preservation, and rare mint-made mistakes, you'll realize that your pocket change or that old family jar of pennies could be hiding a spectacular fortune waiting to be discovered. So, whether you're a lifelong collector or just someone who enjoys the thrill of a good mystery, make sure to pay close attention to your 1957 wheat pennies, because one of them may just transform your life. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design is one of the most beloved and iconic in American coinage. On the obverse sits Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, surrounded by Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1957. On the reverse are two graceful stalks of wheat protecting the bold phrase 1 cent and United States of America, a symbol of strength and harvest from an era when a penny truly mattered in the everyday life of Americans. Look closely under the date and you may see a tiny D, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint, or you might find no mint mark at all, meaning it came from Philadelphia. Either version is worth checking carefully, because while many were produced, only a tiny handful survive today in immaculate mint state condition, carrying the original fiery red luster and sharp strike that serious collectors fight to own. But it isn't just condition that sends the value of a 1957 wheat penny into the stratosphere. It is also the possibility that your coin includes a powerful mint-made error or double die variety. During striking, a die occasionally shifted slightly before hitting the coin again, causing letters like Liberty or numbers in the date to appear doubled under magnification. These double die obverse errors are incredibly scarce and send collectors into a frenzy, especially if found on a coin that still displays full blazing copper color and minimal contact marks. There are also popular off-center strike errors from 1957, where a portion of the design is missing, replaced by a crescent of blank copper along one side. These accidental misalignments are highly valuable when paired with sharp remaining detail. Fill die error coins showing smeared lettering or distorted wheat stalks are also on the radar. If you come across any of these traits on a 1957 wheat cent, especially if it still gleams with vibrant red shine, you could be looking at a major numismatic treasure. Condition remains king. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC assign scores based on the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, beard, bow tie, and coat, and on how clearly the wheat ears on the reverse retain their tiny kernels and lines. An uncirculated 1957 penny that has never seen circulation, meaning no dulling, fingerprints, scratches, or worn surfaces, can earn a mint state grade of MS 65, MS 66, MS 67 or higher. What truly sets the best apart, though, is the color designation, whether the coin remains red, full mint brilliance, red-brown, or brown. The rare coins that stay in full red mint state condition for years are the top tier and the most heavily desired by collectors. When one of these top condition red beauties also contains a dramatic double die or mint error, fierce bidding wars occur at auction as collectors fight to secure the highest quality example for their wheat cent collections. Just imagine you're flipping through a faded cloth bag of pennies that's been tucked away in a closet for decades. You spot a beautiful 1957 wheat cent shining brighter than the rest, almost glowing with its original copper red surface. You gently pick it up, turn it under the light, and feel your heartbeat quicken as you notice the details are incredibly sharp. Lincoln's hair looks perfect, the wheat ears on the back appear untouched, and every letter seems crisp as if stamped yesterday. You grab a simple magnifying glass and suddenly spot a faint doubling on the inscription Liberty, something you've never seen before. That's the moment of realization every treasure hunter dreams of. This tiny penny might just be your golden ticket. You send it off for grading, the results come back mint state red with a double die designation, and all at once your once humble-looking coin is now worth more than a brand new luxury car. This is why thousands of collectors across the world still rummage through old jars, roll hunt at banks, and check estate sale coin boxes for wheat pennies, because the special coins have not all been found yet. And 1957 stands out as a year with real potential, thanks to strong mint production and surprising survivals in pristine condition. So whenever you spot a wheat penny with that magic date, take time to shine a light across it, tilt it carefully, check for red color, examine the date closely and look for doubling or off-center impressions. What seems like just another penny might be a sleeping giant. Today we are taking a journey back to the post-World War II era as we uncover the incredible story behind a coin that might be sitting quietly in old jars, antique boxes, or forgotten drawers, the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1947. At first glance, this small copper coin seems far too common to be worth more than a quick glance, yet collectors know that certain 1947 wheat pennies, especially when paired with the right mint mark, flawless mint red luster, and breathtaking error traits, have become some of the most coveted pieces in American numismatics. If you enjoy the thrill of discovering hidden treasure in everyday change, then keep your eyes wide open because a rare 1947 Lincoln cent could turn an ordinary day into an unforgettable tale of fortune. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first issued in 1909, remained America's most familiar small coin for decades, circulating through every corner diner, hardware store, and movie theater across the nation. The version struck in 1947 continued the timeless design by Victor David Brenner, the humble and noble portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, surrounded by Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. On the back appear two graceful wheat stalks flanking the proud lettering of 1 cent and United States of America. But it's what lies beneath the date that tells an even more important part of the story, the mint mark. A tiny D marks the Denver Mint, an S pinpoints San Francisco, and no mint mark indicates the Philadelphia Mint issued your coin. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately after minting, handled from hand to hand for years, resulting in wear, dull brown toning, and loss of detail. That is why it is so thrilling to find a 1947 wheat penny preserved in original mint state condition, especially in a gleaming bright, red color, the original fiery copper glow that quickly darkens once a coin enters circulation. Only a very small number of 1947 pennies remained untouched for decades, sitting in rolls or tucked away purely by chance. And if those coins also contain a valuable mint-made error, like a double die or off-center strike, they cross over from historical curiosities into incredibly valuable treasure. The most famous variety is the double die obverse, where the inscriptions appear to have been stamped twice slightly out of alignment, creating a mesmerizing shadow effect on Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or the date 1947 itself. Other prized errors include slightly off-center strikes where the rim appears thicker on one side and narrower on the other, as well as die crack errors leaving raised lines across Lincoln's profile or the wheat ears, all factory mistakes now celebrated by collectors. Condition is everything. Even the rarest mint errors lose value if the coin shows signs of wear. That's why serious collectors prefer coins professionally graded by services like PCGS and NGC in high mint state grades such as MS-65, MS-66, or MS-67. The greatest excitement surrounds coins judged to be MS red, meaning nearly all of their original copper brilliance remains intact. On those best of the best coins, Lincoln's cheekbone remains sharp, hair details are crisp, and each little kernel in the wheat stalk stands clear and separate under magnification. Very few 1947 cents have survived in this caliber, and when one also displays a dramatic mint error such as a double die or strong off-center impression, collectors are willing to pay stunning premiums just to own it. Imagine the moment you are going through an old cigar box filled with pennies saved decades ago by a grandparent, pouring them out onto a table in search of wheat pennies. Your heart catches when a 1947 date appears brighter and flashier than the rest. You tilt it back and forth under a desk lamp and realize it glows with fiery red copper just as if it left the mint yesterday. You raise a simple magnifying lens to your eye and stare closely. Suddenly you spot slight doubling in the lettering, something you have never seen before. You send the coin into grading hoping for confirmation. Months later it comes back sealed, blazing red, rated mint state 67, and carrying an official double die error classification. Without ever expecting it, your everyday penny has just become one of the most desirable wheat cents in existence. This is the exact reason why collectors never stop searching 1947 wheat pennies, because long after they disappeared from circulation, the dream of finding one perfect, red, error-marked specimen is still alive. While millions were made, only a tiny handful remain in pristine condition, and those few are capable of bringing unbelievable returns when they appear at auction. So take your time examining every wheat penny you find. Look for the year, the mint mark, the sharpness of Lincoln's portrait, the brilliance of the copper surface, and most importantly, signs of doubling or striking errors that set your coin apart from the ordinary. Today we're exploring one of the most legendary and beloved coins in United States history, a coin that marked the end of an era while secretly becoming one of the most exciting modern discoveries for collectors, the United States of America Lincoln Wheat Penny dated 1958. This was the final year that the classic wheat ear reverse design was ever struck, before it was replaced the very next year by the Lincoln Memorial. That makes the 1958 wheat penny not just a coin, but a farewell moment in American numismatic history, the last chapter in a 50-year legacy of a design we all grew up recognizing in our grandparents' jars of pennies and in stories of the good old days. But here's the part almost nobody knows: certain 1958 wheat pennies, especially those showing special mint errors and near-perfect preservation, can command some of the most astonishing prices ever paid for a copper 1-cent coin. And yes, it's possible one might still be waiting in an old roll, a forgotten box, or even in your own little stash of saved pennies. The 1958 wheat penny features Victor David Brenner's timeless profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, flanked by liberty and the motto "In God We Trust," with the date proudly stamped beneath. Flip it over and you see those two iconic stalks of wheat curving upward around 1 cent and United States of America, a symbol that carried Americans through war, peace, depression and growth. The mint mark, if present, appears under the year. A tiny D indicates the Denver Mint, a tiny P, seen simply by the absence of any mint mark, signifies Philadelphia. Millions were produced, and yet almost all of them were spent quickly in everyday commerce, handfuls of pennies tossed into candy machines, handed across lunch counters, or stored away without any intention of protection. What sets the rare treasure examples apart is lightning in a bottle, a mixture of incredible error, flawless strike, bright original copper red color, and the strength to survive 60-plus years without so much as a fingerprint point. One of the most famous varieties is the 1958 double die obverse, one of the boldest in the wheat penny series. On these coins, the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appear dramatically doubled when observed under even modest magnification. It's not a trick of the eye, it's a genuine minting mistake produced when the die stamped the coin twice, slightly misaligned between impressions. Most collectors go their entire lives never seeing one in person, because fewer than 3 dozen examples are believed to exist. There are also off-center strike errors, where the design is shifted toward one edge, die crack errors that look like lightning bolts across Lincoln's shoulder, and fill die anomalies where parts of the lettering appear smeared or soft. Each of these mint quirks, combined with the right shining condition, can make a humble penny worth a small fortune. Condition is absolutely everything when it comes to value. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC judge coins on a 70-point scale and assign color designations related to the brightness of their copper surface: brown, red-brown, or the most desired, red, meaning the coin still has its original fiery red glow as though it just came out of the mint presses yesterday. Nearly all 1958 wheat pennies have long since turned brown or lost their sparkle, making those top-grade mint state red specimens an extraordinary rarity. When a 1958 penny earns grades like MS 66, MS 67 or higher and carries a major double die variety or sharp error, you now possess what collectors call a holy grail example, and when one hits the auction block, bidding wars explode in seconds. Imagine this scene: you're sorting old coins inherited from a grandparent, slowly scanning through rusty tobacco tins and mason jars they forgot for decades in an attic. Your eyes spot a 1958 wheat penny, but unlike the others it shines brightly, almost glowing orange-red beneath your light. You angle it gently and notice each detail looks razor-sharp: Lincoln's beard and cheek, the crisp edges of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Something tells you this penny is different. You grab a simple magnifier and suddenly realize the letters in Liberty are subtly doubled. Could this be the famous double die you've only heard about in stories? Heart racing, you submit the coin for proper grading, and when it returns in a slab labeled, Mint State 67 red, double die obverse, you know you're holding a piece of American numismatic history coveted by collectors across the globe. This is why collectors and coin hunters never stop checking wheat pennies, especially the final year coins like 1958. The dream of discovering a rare gem lost in plain sight underpins the entire love affair with coin collecting. So if you have wheat pennies at home, from rolls, jars, or estate sales, look for that date, examine the mint mark carefully, check under bright light for bright red luster, use a magnifying glass to inspect the lettering and look for doubling or striking anomalies, because the next great discovery might not come from a museum, but from your very own collection. And now, for the most shocking truth that continues to inspire a new generation of collectors, a spectacular uncirculated 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a dramatic double die error and blazing mint red brilliance has realized a breathtaking auction price of $98,000.